The day I got my college acceptance letter, I blocked my childhood sweetheart and fled to campus 3 days early. It was all because of a ridiculous text she sent me. I'm only sleeping with him for 4 years. After that, I'll marry you. When the text arrived, I hadn't even read it yet. I was standing outside the post office, clutching my brand new acceptance letter from Nanjing Tech University. I ran almost the entire way home, desperate to share the good news with her first. Bursting through the front door, I proudly slapped the letter onto the coffee table. My mom peeked out from the kitchen, her face clouded with a strange, complicated expression. Fang Yuan Bai Ningbing was just here. My heart sank instantly as a terrible feeling crept over me. What did she say? Mom wiped her hands and walked over, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. She said she changed her college application. What? My mind went entirely blank, a sharp ring in my ears. Where did she change it to? To Chen Mo's school. That name felt like a knife twisting in my chest. He was the transfer student who suddenly barged into Bai Ningbing's life last semester. The self-proclaimed poor boy next door campus heartthrob, who charmed countless girls with his good looks and brooding act. Shaking, I pulled out my phone. Bai Ningbing's text from 10 minutes ago was still staring back at me. Only sleeping with him for 4 years, at that marry you. I stared at the words, feeling my blood run cold. What was I to her? A backup plan, a safety net. My phone buzzed. It was a screenshot of Chen Mo's social media post. Meeting a girl who truly knows how to love is the luckiest thing in my life. Attached was a photo of Bai Ningbing leaning against his shoulder. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting beautiful shadows over them. It looked painfully perfect. I let out a bitter, hollow laugh from the depths of my throat. 18 years of growing up together, 6 years of a secret crush, and 2 years of officially dating. None of it could beat 3 months of chasing by a random transfer student. Fang Yuan, my mom said, looking at me with deep worry. Ningbing said this was a carefully considered decision. Carefully considered? I snapped my head up. Is sleeping with someone else carefully considered? While promising to marry me? Mom, is this normal? Mom avoided my gaze, nervously wringing her hands. Her parents said it is normal for young people to explore a few relationships before marriage, as long as she marries you in the end. I finished her ridiculous sentence for her. And you all think this is normal? My dad walked out of the study wearing that familiar spineless expression he always had whenever Bai Ningbing's family was involved. Fang Yuan, both families agreed on this a long time ago. Agreed on what? That I should just gladly accept being cheated on. My voice shook. I grabbed my acceptance letter, slammed myself into my room and slid down the door to the floor. I opened my photo album, scrolling to our pictures. In the photos she wore her school uniform, her ponytail bouncing, smiling as bright as June sunshine. That was from our high school sports meet, the exact moment she ran 800 meters and jumped into my arms. I kept scrolling back to our elementary school graduation. We wore those silly graduation caps and smiled. In middle school she leaned on my shoulder eating ice cream. In our freshman year of high school she stuffed her cold hands into my pockets. 18 years of memories flashed like a movie, ending on a photo of Chen Mo holding her. My phone buzzed again. It was Bai Ningbing Yuan. Please understand me. I have never met anyone like Chen. He needs me. I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, completely lost for words. Understand her betraying our promise? Understand her dating someone else while sending me marriage guarantees? I took a deep breath and texted her back. Do you even hear yourself? She replied instantly. Of course I do. I just want to experience something different. But I will definitely marry you in the end. Didn't our families already agree on this? I stared at the screen, struck by the utter absurdity of it. To her, love was just a transaction, a structured plan. Like when we were kids playing house. Today you play the dad, tomorrow you play the doctor, all switched at whim. Why didn't you tell me you changed your college applications? I asked. The screen showed she was typing. It stayed like that for a long time, until she finally replied. I was afraid you wouldn't agree. But Chesm scores only got him into a junior college, so I had to lower my choices to be with him. I closed my eyes, my temples throbbing. For a guy she knew for 3 months, she threw away our dream university. She threw away her own future, and expected me to wait quietly for 4 years. Bai Ningbing, let's break up. I hit send, my fingers shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Almost immediately my phone started ringing. It was her. I ignored it. She called 3 more times before I shut the phone off. Alpha evening, the doorbell rang. Peeking through the peephole I saw Bai Ningbing and her parents standing there, along with my parents' awkward smiling faces. I turned to walk back to my room. But Dad opened the door. Fang Yuan, come out and talk. In the living room, Bai Ningbing's eyes were red. Seeing me, she rushed forward and grabbed my hand. Fang Yuan, please don't be like this. I yanked my hand back. Don't touch me. Her tears spilled over instantly. How can you be like this? We promised we'd be together forever. Promised? I sneered. To go to Nanjing Tech together, or did we promise that you sleep with someone else for 4 years before marrying me? Fang Yuan, Bai Ningbing's father, barked. Standing up, watch your mouth. I turned to him. Uncle, do you really think your daughter's behavior is acceptable? To my absolute shock, her father actually chuckled. Come on, she's young. It's good to experience a few different relationships. As long as she marries you in the end. Is this how you raise your daughter? I interrupted. Fang Yuan, my mother, tugged at my arm. Mind your manners with your elders. I looked around, suddenly realizing something horrifying. Out of the 4 adults present, not a single one saw anything wrong with what Bai Ningbing did. The casual expressions on their faces made it seem they were discussing what to have for dinner, rather than someone's heart and dignity. You guys, my voice choked. Do you actually think this is normal? Bai Ningbing's mother walked over, patronizing me like a child. Fang Yuan, you're still young, simply don't understand love. If Ningbing likes Chen Mo right now, let her. Once novelty wears off, she will naturally come back to you. I looked at Bai Ningbing. Do you think so too? Chen Mo is special, but I promise that in you 4 years enough I bolted up. I'm not your toy. I'm not a backup plan you can just shuffle around. I stormed back into my room and began packing like mad. Registration at Nanjing Tech Wanzan for another 3 days, but I couldn't bear to spend another second in this ridiculous house. Bai Ningbing rushed in after me, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. I was wrong, I feeling her warmth and her trembling. This used to be the embrace I craved most. Now it just made my skin crawl. Bai Ningbing, I said, refusing to turn around. Do you even know what love is? She went stiff. Love isn't a game, it's not keeping someone's as a backup plan. I gently pried her hands off me. If you really love Chen Mo, go be with him. But if you actually love me, you wouldn't hurt me like this. She cried harder. But what about our families? Forget our families. I finally turned around. It's just you and me. And since you chose Chen Mo, stop talking nonsense about marrying me in 4 years. In the living room, the adults were still chatting, laughing occasionally. I heard Bai Ningbing's father say that it's normal for kids to bicker, and that we'd be fine in a few days. That was the moment I realized my feelings meant absolutely nothing under the twisted values of these families. All that mattered was their 20-year-old promise and keeping up appearances. Nobody cared how dirty the reality was as long as they got their happy ending. Early the next morning, I dragged my suitcase out the door. My parents stood there wanting to say something but only managed, "Let us know when you arrive." I didn't look back. I didn't tell them I had bought a ticket for 3 days early. Nanjing was where my new life would begin. On the train, I turned my phone on. Dozens of unread texts and missed calls from Bai Ningbing flooded in. The most recent one read, "Fang Yuan, you'll wait for me, right? We pinky promised." I let out a soft laugh and blocked her on everything. 18 years of history Constance's 3 months with a transfer student. But what truly broke me wasn't just her betrayal. It was how both of our families enabled and excused it. The scenery outside the window whipped, setting my old life behind. I closed my eyes, telling myself, "Fang Yan, from this moment on you only live for yourself." The orientation booths at Nanjing Tech were packed with energy. I checked in quickly, grabbed my dorm keys and followed a volunteer. "Hey, are you in the mechanical engineering department?" Girl with a ponytail suddenly asked, stopping me. "Im Su Ching. A sophomore helping freshmen get settled." I nodded, forcing it a small smile. She tilted her head, studying my face. "You look down." "Break up?" I froze, shocked that a complete stranger could read my miserable state so easily. "Something like that," I mumbled. Suching smiled, her eyes crinkling to crescent moons. "No worries, college is a fresh start. My brother says the guy-to-girl ratio in mechanical engineering is 7-1. You'll find someone new in no time." She pointed nearby. "That's my brother, Suyang. Let's get you to your dorm first." The room was a 4-person dorm. 2 guys were already unpacking when we arrived. Suyang was a loud, friendly guy from the north. The other was Li Wenbo, who wore thick glasses and spoke softly. "You must be Fang Yuan." Suyang slapped my shoulder. "Heard you got dumped by your childhood sweetheart." I glared at Suching, who playfully stuck her tongue out. "Just making conversation, it's fine," I said, putting my bags down. It's in the past. That night after lights out, I lay in bed checking my phone. Bai Ningbing had texted from a new number. "Fang Yuan, I found your dorm number. I'm visiting you this weekend." I didn't reply. But my mind was in a frenzy. Why did she think I would still see her? What gave her the right to drift in and out of my life whenever she pleased? When the weekend arrived, I went to the library early to avoid running into her. Yet on my way back to the dorm that afternoon, I still spotted her waiting outside. She wore a white sundress, her hair falling softly over her, pure and beautiful. Her eyes lit up as she ran over. "Fang Yuan's." I stepped back. "Why are you here?" She reached out to pull me close, but I silently stepped back. Her eyes darted around as I asked her coldly, "Is working right now, isn't he?" "So you used his shift to run all the way to Nanjing just to find me?" I could not believe my ears. "Bai Ningbing, what on earth are you trying to flow?" "Yuan, please do not be like this. I really miss you." "Me and Chen Mo, stop." I raised my hand to cut her off. "I do not want to hear about you two. We broke up, remember?" Suddenly she got emotional. "No, we did not break up. I was just temporarily dating someone else for a bit," I scoffed. "Bai Ningbing, listen to what you were saying." She cried even harder. Sobbing, "You have changed. You never used to treat me like this." "Yes, indeed, I have. I have changed," I said calmly. "See you for who you really are." Suddenly she lunged forward and hugged me. "Yuan, I was wrong. I will break up with him, okay? Let us start a sister." Before I could even push her off, a familiar voice called out from right behind us, "Hey, you forgot your book." Suyin's voice abruptly cut off. I turned and saw her standing just a few steps away holding the engineering drawing textbook I left in the cafeteria this morning. Bai Ning instantly grew alert. "Who is she?" she demanded. Su Qin looked at me, then at Bai Ningbing clinging to my arm and gave an awkward smile. "I am just his roommate's sister. I will leave the book here and head out." She set the book down and turned to go, but Bai Ningbing suddenly rushed over to block her. "What is your relationship with Yuan?" Su Qin's looked utterly bewildered. "I already told you I'm his roommate's sister." I barked at her. "Bai Ningbing, what is wrong with you?" She whipped her head back, eyes full of tears. "You fell for someone else this quickly?" I took a deep breath. I walked over, grabbed my book and took Su Qin by the wrist. "Let us go, I will buy you some milk tea." Behind us, Bai Ningbing shrieked, "Fang Yan, don't you dare!" I did not look back, pulling Su Qin away quickly until we turned a corner. Only then did I let go of her hand, apologizing awkwardly. "Sorry about that. She is a bit of a crazy ex-girlfriend." Su Qin raised an eyebrow. "I can see that." I smiled bitterly. "We actually grew up together. I thought I knew her." Su Qin nodded thoughtfully. "That hurts even more," she said. We walked to the milk tea shop near the campus gate. I ordered her a strawberry cheese tea and got myself a lemonade. So Su-chin said, chewing on her straw, she is the childhood friend who changed her college application for another guy? I stared at her about that. You talk in your sleep, she giggled. I covered my face. Oh my god, don't worry. She patted my shoulder. My brother and the others did not hear a thing. They sleep like logs. I could not help but laugh. That was my first genuine, heartfelt laugh since receiving my college admission letter. Honestly, Su-chin suddenly turned serious. Do you not think her behavior is incredibly bizarre? Dating someone else while sending you a written promise of marriage? What is even weirder is that both your parents think this is completely normal. I shook my head. They have bound us together since childhood, as if our feelings are just something they can arrange at will. Su-chin made a disgusted face. This is literally like those feudal arranged child marriages. Pretty much, I sighed, except even more twisted. She is allowed to fool around before marriage, as long as she ends up marrying me in the end. So what do you plan to do? Su-chin asked. She does not look like she will give up easily. I looked off into the distance. Students were bustling across campus, everyone filled with anticipation for their new lives. The sky in Nanjing was bluer than back home, and the air lacked that suffocating pressure. I am not going back, I said softly. No matter how many times she comes or how much pressure our parents put on me, I control my own life. To freedom. I clinked my cup against hers. To freedom. After that day, Bai Ningbing came to Nanjing a few more times, but I always had my roommates tell her I was out. Slowly, her harassment began to taper off. She only sent occasional texts which shifted from desperate begging to harsh accusations claiming I was as untrustworthy and letting both families down. I never replied, and simply blocked every single new number she used. Meanwhile, my college life steadily got on track. The engineering courses were harder than I expected but incredibly interesting. My roommates and I got along great, often gaming together late into the night, and Su-chin, with her bright cheerful personality, became my best friend in Nanjing. One weekend in late October, Su-chin dragged me to go hiking up Purple Mountain. The autumn foliage was gorgeous. We made our way up the stone steps, chatting about our pasts and futures. Out of breath, she looked over and asked me. I don't know, I said, helping her up. Maybe become an engineer. What about you? I want to open a bookstore, she replied, her eyes sparkling. The kind with coffee, cats, and endless books to read. I smiled. That sounds perfect for you. Reaching the summit, the entire city of Nanjing stretched out before us. Su-chin's look. That is our school. I followed her gaze and spotted our university library among the cluster of buildings. From up here it looked so tiny, yet so clear. Fang Yuan, Su-chin murmured softly. Do you ever feel like when fate pushes you in a certain direction, it is actually setting you up for something better? I turned to look at her. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dancing shadows across her face. In that moment she looked breathtaking. Maybe, I replied softly, some tricing. On our way down the mountain our hands somehow found each other. Neither of us made a conscious muss, yet neither of us let go. By the time we got back to campus I saw an unexpected figure waiting outside my dorm. It was Bai Ningbing's mother. The moment she spotted me she rushed over. Yuan, I froze. Auntie, how could you treat Ningbing like this? She demanded immediately, throwing accusations at me. She cries herself to sleep every single day and has lost 10 pounds. I took a deep breath. Auntie, Bai Ningbing was the one who broke our promise first. How's that a betrayal? She looked at me in disbelief. Young people date around a bit, so what? In the end, isn't she still going to marry you anyway? That same old argument again. Exhaustion washed over me. Auntie, that is not how relationships work. Yuan, her tone suddenly softened. Our families have 20 years of history. You cannot just throw that away. Ningbing was just temporarily confused. Confused enough to change her college application? Confused enough to move in with another guy? I scoffed. Auntie, do you honestly think this lifestyle is good for her? Her face paled. How do you know about them living together? Just a guess, I replied blankly. She loves Chen Mo so much she changed her schools for him. Of course they live together. Bai Ningbing's mother suddenly grabbed my hand. Yuan, listen to me. Ningbing and Chen Mo are just having fun. You are the only one in her heart. I pulled my hand back. Auntie, please tell her that she and I are completely finished. I hope she and Chen Mo are happy. With that I turned to walk away, but she yelled after me. Fang Yuan, your parents already agreed to a joint family dinner at the end of the year. Do not be so ungrateful. I did not look back as I stepped into my dorm building. My heart pounded furiously. Behind my back both sets of parents were still plotting this ridiculous reconciliation drama. They did not care about my feelings or her betrayal. All they cared about was keeping that absurd childhood promise. That night I called home. My mother answered, her voice deliberately gentle and cheerful. Yuan, have you eaten, Mom? I cut straight to the point. Ningbing's mother came to my school to find me today. Silence stretched over us of the line for a few seconds. Sheshu was just worried about you. Worried about what? Worried I will refuse to clean up her mess. I could not help but raise my voice. Mom, what are you even thinking? Bai Ningbing is living with another man right now, and you are still planning a family dinner? My mother sighed. Yuan, you are still young. You do not understand that feelings can be nurtured over time. The bond between our families is what matters most, so my dignity does not matter, my feelings do not matter. My voice began to shake. Mom, am I your son or just a tool to fulfill your promise? How can you say that? My mother snapped back, genuinely angry now. We are doing this for your own good. Bai Ningbing is such a wonderful girl and we know her family inside out. So wonderful that she can sleep with another man's thing while sending me marriage pledges? I sneered. Mom, your twisted values genuinely terrify me. I hung up, turned off my phone and threw myself onto my bed. My roommates, Suyang and Li Wenbo, did not ask to peach, they just silently handed me a cold beer. That night I dreamed I was trapped inside a glass box with Ningbing and our parents standing outside. They laughed as they discussed our future wedding, while I desperately banged on the glass, unable to make a single sound. When I woke up, my pillow was soaked with tears. I knew then that it was time to completely sever all ties with the past. On the train home for winter break, I stared at the scenery rushing past the window. A message from Su Chin lit up my screen. Are you home yet? Do not fight with them, it is not worth it. I replied with a brief text and shut off my phone. Having not seen my parents in 3 months, I knew exactly what was waiting for me, a grueling war of attrition over forgiving Bai Ningbing. At the exit gate, my father looked slightly more stooped than I remembered. He forced a smile. You are back. After some awkward small talk, the car fell into a tense, heavy silence. Only when we pulled into our neighborhood did my father finally speak. Ningbing's family is coming over for dinner tomorrow. I clenched my fists. I am not going. Fang Yuan, my father's voice suddenly turned harsh. Not be stubborn. Our families have over 20 years of history. Is that history more important than your son's dignity? I sneered. My father slammed on the brakes, pulling the car abruptly to the curb. He whipped around to face me, his eyes burning with a rage I had never seen. You think we want this? Do you know how much her father helped me get through some of our worst times? Without the bice you would not be here today. I stared at him in utter shock. So I am just a tool for you to repay a debt? It is not a debt, my father sighed deeply. It is a duty. This was settled long ago. You cannot just back out. I pushed the car door open. I will walk back myself. The biting winter wind whipped against my face, but I barely felt it. My father's words cut deep like a knife. It turned out that in their eyes my feelings and my entire life meant nothing compared to a ridiculous promise. At home my mother prepared a table full of my favorite dishes but said nothing about tomorrow. It was only after dinner that she asked tentatively, Yuan, about tomorrow I will not see her. I said, setting down my chopsticks. If you insist on hosting them, I am staying at a classmate's house. My mother's eyes welled with tears. Can you not show us some understanding? Her mother calls me crying every single day. His daughter betrayed me, I said, standing up. What right does she have to cry? Mom, do you honestly expect me to gratefully accept Bai Ningbing back after she sleeps with another guy for 4 years of college? To just happily clean up his mess? How can you speak so crudely? My mother slammed her hand on the table. What is wrong with young people dating? As long as she marries you, who cares? I looked at her, suddenly feeling completely alienated. So these are the people who raised me. These are their values. Mom, my voice shook. If I slept around for 4 years then came back to marry Bai Ningbing, would you be fine with that? She froze, lips trembling, speechless. I turned to go back to my room and locked the door. My phone buzzed, a video call from Suching. She was in her dorm wearing fluffy pajamas. So did World War III break out? She asked. I forced a weak smile. Pretty much. Base family is coming tomorrow, so I am fleeing to an internet cafe. No way, she frowned. It is freezing. Come to my place. What? I told my parents about you. They invited you for dinner, she said, winking. After all, my city's just 30 minutes away by high-speed train. My nose, don't cry yet, just bring a gift, my dad loves tea. She laughed and hung up. I tossed and turned all night. At 2 in the morning my phone screen suddenly lit up. An unknown number texted, Xiao Yuan, I will see you tomorrow, I miss you so much. I deleted it instantly. Outside snow fell silently. Early next morning I left a note and slipped out. On the train I texted Suching my arrival details. The snow in Linxi was lighter than back home. At the exit she stood out in her bright red down jacket. Spotting me, she jumped and waved. Over here she led me to a bus, chatting non-stop about the local sights. My tense nerves finally began to unwind and she even made me laugh a few times. Her home was a cozy, clean 3-bedroom apartment in an older neighborhood. Her dad taught high school, and her mom was a nurse. Their overwhelming warmth made me feel shy. Xiao Yuan, Chinchin told us you study engineering, pouring me tea. Excellent field. Thank you, uncle. At lunch her mom kept piling food onto my plate. Eat up, you are so thin. This cozy family warmth made my chest tighten. At my house dinner was always a battlefield of tension and schemes. After lunch she took me to her bedroom. The shelves were packed with novels, starry stickers on the wall, and a photo of her and her brother on the nightstand. So beats your family war zone, right? She asked, cross-legged on the bed. I nodded, then spotted an open notebook on her desk. Are you writing a novel? No, looking okay, I won't. I laughed, raising my hands in surrender. What is the genre? She blushed. Just young adult fiction. We spent the afternoon talking about our classes, our plans, and all kinds of silly, wonderful things. No Bai Ningbing, no ridiculous 4-year pact, no toxic family pressure. By evening she walked me back to the station as the snow began to fall again. Suddenly she stood on her tiptoes to brush the flakes off my shoulder. Do not let them ruin you. I froze. Her eyes shone so brightly in the snow like sus in the dark. My throat tightened. Thank you. On the train home my phone buzzed violently. Dozens of missed calls from my parents and Bai Ningbing popped up. There was also a text from my mother. You have deeply disappointed us. I shut off my phone, stared into the pitch black night. I didn't cry this time. For the rest of break I left early and returned late, dodging every family gathering. My parents looked at me with silent disappointment, but they stopped mentioning Bai Ningbing. I thought it was over. But the day before heading back to school she cornered me at my front door. She had lost so much weight, her eyes red and swollen. The moment she saw me she lunged forward. Xiao, and I stepped. What is it? Why are you avoiding me? She sobbed. I went to Suching's house to find you, and she lied and said you weren't there. My blood ran cold. You went to her place? I checked your call history, she said, totally self-righteous. Who is this Suching? What is your relationship? I could not believe my ears. You when? Last time in Nanjing. She bit her lip. Xiao Yuan, do you actually like her? That is none of your business. I turned to leave but she grabbed my jacket. Xiao and I broke up with Chenmo, we can start over, I shook her off. Bai Ningbing, we ended a long time ago. The moment you changed your college application, no, she screamed. We agreed to marry in 4 years. You cannot love someone else. Her shouting drew looks from neighbors. Stifling my anger, I hissed, keep it down, come inside. In the living room she wept uncontrollably and said, Chenmo family's money. My brother handed her a tissue silently. He forced me to, her voice to a barely audible whisper. Do it twice. My head snapped up. What? The first time was last October, she trembled. The second time was last month. The doctor said I might have trouble getting pregnant. My chest tightened with pain. Although we were over, hearing that a girl I once loved suffered like this shook me deeply. Bai Ningbing. I do not know. Say your parents know? She shook her head. Only you, Xiao. I only have you now. I took a deep breath. You need a therapist. I can go with you to get professional help. But as for us, you still will not forgive me. She suddenly grew hysterical. I am already so miserable. Chenmo abandoned me and now you are abandoning me too? This is not about forgiveness. I tried to stay calm. We broke up long ago. You need professional help, not clinging to a relationship that ended. Her eyes suddenly went cold and empty. It is because of Su Qing, right? I am going to kill her. I grabbed her shoulders. Bai Ningbing, calm down. She broke free and rushed into the kitchen, grabbing a fruit knife. I will kill anyone who tries to take you. Terrified, I lunged to wrestle the knife away. In the struggle, the blade sliced my arm and blood gushed out. Seeing the blood, she snapped out of it, collapsing to the floor, weeping hysterically. I am sorry, Xiao Yuan. I did not mean to clutch my wound. I called 120. Not for myself but for her. Diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and a depressive episode. In the hospital hallway, her parents and mine stood facing each other. Her mother cried until she nearly fainted. How could this happen? My baby girl. With my arm bandaged, I said coldly, are you happy now? My dad yelled at me. Now is not the time, doc. Over. The patient requires hospitalization. Family, please sign the paperwork. As I turned to leave, her father suddenly grabbed my arm. Xiao Yuan, she keeps calling your name. Can you please stay? No, I said, shaking his hand off. I am not her medicine. Outside the hospital, the snow had stopped. The harsh sunlight ate eyes water. I pulled out my phone and called Su Qing. Hello, her voice was filled with worry. What happened? Su Qing, my voice cracked. Can I see you? We met at a cafe near the campus. Seeing my bandage, she gasped. What happened? I told her everything that had transpired. When I reached the part about Bai Ningbing's abortion, she covered her mouth. When I mentioned the knife threat, tears welled in her eyes. Oh my God, she squeezed my hand. Are you okay? I gave a bitter laugh. Better than she is. This is not your fault, she said firmly. She needs professional help, not your sacrifice. I nodded, then noticed the open notebook in front of her. Writing a novel again? She quickly slammed it shut, but I saw my own name. Are you writing my story? I asked, surprised. She blushed. Just some artistic license. Curiously, I flipped through it and found she had written our meeting as something romantic and beautiful. While Bai Ningbing's character was a tragic antagonist, she snatched the notebook back. No, looking, it is an unfinished draft. It is pretty good. I laughed. You just made me look way too handsome. She made a face, but that is the truth. Sunlight framed her face. I suddenly realized this girl had quietly become the most important part of my entire life. Su Qing, I whispered. Thank you for existing. She froze, and then her face slowly turned bright red. Idiot. In the spring of our junior year, she prepared a birthday surprise for me. On that day I had plans in the lab, but Su Yang mysteriously dragged me to the hill behind the campus. As the sun set, I saw candles covering the slope, spelling out 20. Su Qing stood in the center wearing a light blue dress holding a small cake. Happy birthday, she called out, smiling. I walked over, my heart hammering. How did you know it was my birthday? I saw it on your ID card, she teased, sticking her tongue out. Quick, make a wish. I closed my eyes and made the most sincere wish of my 20 years. Let the moment last forever. When I opened my eyes, she was gazing at me, the candlelight reflecting in her eyes. She was incredibly beautiful. Fang Yuan, she whispered, I like you. The world seemed to stand still. I stared at her, suddenly understanding my own feelings. This girl, like bright sunshine, had already healed all my deep-seated pain. I like you too, I heard myself. She smiled, stood on her tiptoes, and gently kissed my cheek. In that moment, every candle paled in comparison. On the way back to the dorms, we held hands, soon neither of us wanting to let go. Su Yang had slipped away long ago. Winking at me before asked, how is Bai Ningbing doing lately? I shook my head, no idea. She tried to add my WeChat after getting discharged. Does she still harass you? Occasionally she texts from unknown numbers. I sighed, but rarely now. Su Qing squeezed my hand tightly. Stop thinking about it. Today is your birthday. Be happy. I nodded, looking up at the starry sky. Suddenly, the pain of the past felt so far away. In the blink of an eye, we reached the second semester of senior year. Su Qing and I had been together for over a year, stable and happy. She got into graduate school here, while I landed an offer at a foreign firm in Shanghai. On graduation day, under a bright sun, we wore our academic gowns and took photos everywhere. Just as we headed to the degree conferring ceremony, a familiar figure appeared at the gate. It was Bai Ningbing. She wore a white dress, her hair much longer than I remembered. Standing next to her was a little boy about 3 years old. Xiao Yuan, she called out timidly. I froze. Su Qing instantly sensed something. Was that her? I nodded. She looked at the child. Is that? I do not know, I whispered. Bai Ningbing said the doctor diagnosed him. Having another baby would be nearly impossible. Bai Ningbing slowly walked closer, a little boy clutching her hand. Mommy, is this daddy? My blood ran cold. She quickly shook her head, saying, no, sweetie, this is mommy's friend. Then he looked up. He stole a glance at me with familiar, pleading eyes. Xiao Yuan, can we talk alone? Su Qing squeezed my hand saying she would wait over there. I gave her a grateful look and turned to Ningbing. What is it? She bit her lip. I graduated. What promise? I asked coldly. Our 4-year promise, she whispered. You said you would wait for me. I could hardly believe my ears. Ningbing, we broke up a long time ago, and I glanced at the child. You have clearly started a new life. She suddenly became hysterical. No, this is Chen Mo's child. He abandoned us. Xiao Yan, I only have you now. Frightened by her screaming, the little boy began to cry. She patted the boy's back mechanically, her eyes locked onto mine. You said you would marry me. You promised. I never said that, I said, stepping back. Ningbing, you need help. This child needs a healthy mother. You have changed, she screamed. Is it because of Su Qing? I will kill her, just like I killed Chen Mo. I went completely teased. Ningbing suddenly realized her slip of the tongue, turning pale. I did not mean to. He beat me. It was self-inflicted. A horrific realization hitting me. Chen Mo is dead? She nodded, trembling. Last a month, the police said it was an accident. I was speechless. The girl I once loved deeply had become a killer and an unstable mother. Ningbing, I said with difficulty, you need to turn yourself in. No, she grabbed the boy and bolted. You will regret this, Feng Zan. You and that bitch will regret this. I stood frozen. My legs felt like lead. What happened? What did she say? Staring at Ningbing's fleeing figure, I whispered, she killed Chen Mo. Qing gasped in horror. Oh my god. And that child is, I replied numbly, I need to call the police. Dialing 110, my hands shook so hard I could barely hold the phone. After hanging up, Su Qing held, it is okay. I hugged her back, smelling her scent, and suddenly realized with absolute clarity that this was my life, my choice. No one could force me into a toxic relationship again, or hurt the people I cared about. After graduation, Su Qing and I walked out hand in hand, the warm sun shining down on us, our long shadows blending on the ground. See you in Shanghai? She asked, smiling. I nodded and kissed her forehead. See you in Shanghai. Our sitting was scheduled for the spring of the second year after graduation, at a small church on the Shanghai Bund, with only our closest friends and family. Su Qing wanted a simple, cozy ceremony, saying a wedding is for us, not a show for the world. A week before the wedding, I was in my apartment sorting this guest list when the doorbell rang. Looking through the peephole, I saw a familiar yet foreign figure. I had not seen her in 3 years. She looked skeletal, her eyes terrifyingly large, clutching that little boy. I froze at the door, torn over whether to open it. Xiao Yuan, I know you are home. Her hoarse voice drifted through the door. I saw your wedding invitation. I took a deep breath and opened it. The little boy stared at me timidly, his eyes looking exactly like Chen Mo's. Congratulations, Ningbing forced a smile that looked worse than crying. Can I come in? I stepped aside and quickly texted Su Qing that Ningbing was here. In the living room, she looked around, her gaze lingering on our wedding photos. Very pretty. Why are you here? I asked directly. She set the boy down and he sat quiet on the sofa, playing with his fingers. I came to fulfill our 4-year promise, she said. She looked me dead in the eye. You said you would not believe my ears. Ningbing, that ended long ago. Besides, I glanced at the boy. You have a new life. This is not a new life, she snapped, suddenly hysterical. This is Chen Mo's bastard. He ruined my entire life. Terrified by her screaming, the boy curled into a ball. I walked over and knelt before him. What is your name? Chen Yan, he whispered. How old are you? 4 years old. I frowned, calculating the timelines. If he was 4, she must have gotten pregnant during sophomore year, right after she told me about her first abortion. She was lying. Ningbing, I turned to her. You said you had 2 abortions. Then how the child was the 3rd time, she screamed hysterically. The doctor said another abortion meant I could never have kids. Chen Mo forced me to have him. The doorbell rang again. It was Su Qing. Seeing Ningbing, she paused, but quickly regained her composure. Hello, Su Qing said politely. I know who you are, Ningbing shrieked. You stole my Xiao Yuan. Chen Yan began to sob. Su Qing walked over to soothe him, her touch so practiced she might have done it 1,000 times. Watching this, Ningxing suddenly quieted down. Do you have kids? I shook my head. Su Qing is a pediatrician. A pediatrician, she muttered, then burst into hysterical laughter. Great, just great. I had 2 abortions and had a mistake. While you found a doctor, she suddenly grabbed Chen Yan. We are leaving. Wait, Su Qing stopped her. The child is not well. He needs an exam. None of your business, she snapped, shoving Su Qing. This is my child, mine. I held Su Qing back, saying let her go. At the door, Ningbing turned. Feng Yuan, you will regret this. Her chilling look made my blood run cold. After she left, Su Qing and I remained silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke up. There is some problem with that child. What is it? Developmental delays, possibly autism. Su Qing frowned, and he does not look 4, more like 3. My heart skipped a beat. So Ningbing was lying again. Feng Yuan. I am worried she might do something extreme. Just then, my phone rang. It was my mother. Xiao Yuan, her voice trembled. Ningbing's parents just came over. Something terrible has happened. Half an hour later, Su Qing and I rushed to the hotel where my parents were staying. Ningbing's parents sat on the sofa, looking like they had aged 10 years. Xiao Yuan, her mother, sobbed the moment she saw me. Please, save Ningbing. It turns out Chen Mo did not die in an accident. Ningbing stabbed him 7 times with a fruit knife, then tried to end her life. He died instantly. She was saved but escaped prison due to her mental illness, ordered into mandatory treatment instead. During her stay, she gave birth to Chen Yan. We kept it a secret. Her father wept. We hoped she would recover. But after seeing your wedding invitation, she escaped. My mother added, she took the child. I went completely numb, recalling the terrifying look in her eyes before she left. Does she know our wedding venue? Everyone went pale. We have to change it, my father urged. We cannot risk it. No, I shook my head. If she is truly insane, she will find us anywhere. It is better to. Su Qing squeezed my hand tight. Let us call the police. Officers got involved quickly but could not locate Ningbing. The day before our wedding we set up tight security. That night my parents insisted on speaking to us. The room was suffocatingly tense. Xiaoyun, my father, are vegan. Your mother and I talked. We should postpone the wedding. What? Ningbing's situation is special, my mother said, avoiding my eyes. Our families have decades of history, and so my voice began to tremble. So what? My father took a deep breath. Could you wait until Ningbing stabilizes and then what? I stood up. Then consider marrying a literal murderer? A psychopath? Fang Yuan, my mother snapped. How can you speak of Ningbing like that? Chen Mo drove her crazy. I stared at them, suddenly realizing that in their twisted world, Ningbing was always right, always forgivable, and forever my burden to bear. Mom, Dad, I tried to stay calm. If roles were reversed, and her parents demanded she marry a murderer, would you agree? That is different. My father slammed the table. She was just confused. She killed someone, I roared. And she has a child. What on earth are you thinking? That boy needs a father, my mother wept. Ningbing needs you. Su Qing suddenly stood up. Auntie, uncle, what about me? What does my 2-year relationship with Fang Yuan mean? The room fell into a suffocating silence. Miss Su, my father said coldly, we appreciate you staying with Xiaoan. Special. Special enough to sacrifice your own son's happiness? Su Qing's demanded. This is our family business, my mother shrieked. Watching this, I suddenly laughed. The sound startled everyone. Fine. Perfect. I wiped away a tear. Mom, Dad, this is the last time I call you that. As of today, I have no parents. My father's face turned livid. You would do this for a woman? No, I interrupted. I am doing this for myself. To escape your twisted values and live like a normal human being. I grabbed Su Qing's hand. We are leaving. Behind us, my mother wailed and Ningbing's father cursed, but I never looked back. Our wedding day was beautiful and sunny. The church was packed with friends and colleagues, but my family was absent. Su Qing looked breathtaking in her simple white dress. As she walked toward me, I forgot all the darkness. The priest began the vows right as Su Qing said, I do. The church doors were violently thrown open. I object. Bai Ningbing stood at the entrance, her hair wild and her eyes bloodshot. She was clutching Chen Yan, who was sobbing in terror. Security rushed forward, but she pulled a knife from her bag, pressing at her own neck. Stay back, everyone froze. Ningbing slowly walked up the aisle, the blade never moving away from her neck. Xiaoyuan, she wept. You said you would wait. Ningbing, I tried to stay calm. Put the knife down. Let us talk. No, she screamed. You lied. You promised to marry Mimi. In her arms, Sus struggled, screaming, Mommy, it hurts. Su Qing stepped down from the altar. Ningbing, the child is terrified. Let me hold him. Get back. Ningbing brandished the knife. Do not touch my boy. Just then, Chen Yan suddenly bit her arm hard. He let go in pain, dropping the child. Su Qin rushed to scoop him up while guards tackled Bai Ningbing. Her knife slashed a guard's arm, splattering blood on white chairs. Pinned to the floor, she kept screaming, Fang Yuan, you promised. Police quickly dragged her away. Chen Yan was rushed to the hospital in shock, and the wedding came to a crashing halt. The bloody chapel left everyone terrified. Dirt and blood stained Su Qin's wedding dress, but she held Chen Yan tight until medics arrived. I apologized to our guests, but Su Qin cut me off, wiping away her tears. Father, please continue. Amidst the chaos and wet blood, we exchanged rings and kissed. No music, no cheers, our trembling hands and unwavering eyes. 3 days later, the hospital called. Bai Ningbing slit her wrists with a sharpened toothbrush in detention but survived. She wants to see you, the cop said. She has something important. Su Qin and I went to the psychiatric facility together. Bound in paper pale, Bai Ningbing flinched when she saw Su Qin, but surprisingly she did not fly into a rage. I have a secret. I squeezed Su Qin's hand. What? Ningbing smiled creepily. Chen Yan isn't Chen Mo's child. I felt a sudden chill. Then whose? I have no idea, she laughed. In sophomore year I slept around. Chen Mo beat me when he found out. That is why the implication was clear. Chen Mo did not die from abusing her but because of her affairs. Why tell me this? I asked. Her eyes cleared for a split second. To let you know you dodged a bullet. If we had ended up together, she stopped, but I knew. My innocent childhood sweetheart was now a complete stranger. Bai Ningbing, I asked one final haunting question. Why did you change your college application? Was it really for Chen Mo? After a long silence she whispered, I was terrified. Of what? Of you finding out who I really am. She wept. I never deserved you, Fang Yuan. As we turned to leave, Su Qin suddenly looked back. We will take good care of Chen Yan. Bai Ningbing froze, then nodded slowly. Thank you. 5 years later, Su Qin and I had a home in Shanghai. Chen Yan was much better after therapy, and we confirmed that he indeed was not Chen Mo's child. DNA tests showed no relation to Ningbing's parents, meaning she was not even their biological daughter. We hid this ironic truth. Chensen was as innocent. He only needed to know he was loved. Deemed mentally unfit, Bai Ningbing was institutionalized. Her parents divorced a year after our wedding, fighting constantly over her support. As for my own parents, we cut contact completely. I heard from old classmates they adopted a distant relative's child to raise as a grandson. Meanwhile, Su Qin and I opened a bookstore near the Bund, fulfilling her dream with coffee, cats and endless books. One quiet weekend, Su Qin was brewing coffee while Chen Yan read in the kids' corner. As I sorted new arrivals, the door chimed and a familiar face walked in. Su Yang, now a professor in Beijing, visited whenever he was in Shanghai. Su Qin served him coffee. Signed Keigo Higashino copies just arrived. Watching them bicker, watching Chen Yan reads and seeing our glowing sunny bookstore sign, I recalled what Su Qin said on that mountaintop when we were 20. Sometimes life pushes you a certain way to give you something better. She was right. The boy who once felt betrayed by his sweetheart now had a happiness he never imagined. My name is Chen Mo. My alcoholic father gave me that name because I did not even cry at birth like a mute. My life matched my name, filled with silent scream. Born in a poor county, my dad was a builder, my mom a temporary textile worker. My childhood home smelled of cheap liquor and blood. Dad beat mom then beat me. Mom never fought back. She would just slip a boiled egg into my bag the next morning. Study hard, she would say. Escape this hellhole. Not for her but because education was my only way out. Poverty was branded on my bones, I hated it, and everyone who was born with what I craved. In high school I scraped by on grants and odd jobs, but I was handsome. Mom's girls loved my melancholy look, clueless that it was sheer numbness from trauma. I started exploiting it. Was first her dad ran a store so I used her for free food. Then Zhang Ting, whose nurse mother got me cheap to resell at triple the price. Zero guilt, the world never spared me, why should I spare it? Senior year my drunk dad fell to his death at work. The boss paid 80,000 yuan. Mom wept, calling it a blessing since I could afford college. Seeing her tears I realized how pathetic her life of abuse was. That night I stole 60,000 yuan, leaving a note, off to the city. She would understand, she always forgave cruelty. In Hefei I used a fake ID and Nekesh for a prep school seeking a better springboard. My hometown's college admission rates were too low. My wealthy classmates gossiped about phones and weekend parties. Meanwhile I hunted for a valuable target. That's when Bai Ningbing caught my eye. She wasn't gorgeous, but she had a naive simplicity. Best of all, I overheard that her dad was a manager with 2 Hefei apartments. I staged accidental encounters in the library and cafeteria. I ignored her, reading quietly or staring into space with a melancholy look. Playing hard to get always sparks curiosity. 2 weeks later she finally approached me. Are you new? I looked up, giving her a calculated smile. Im Chen Mo, she blushed. Too easy. We dated, which really meant she gave and I took. My distant act only fueled her obsession. She bought me designer clothes, expensive dinners and slipped me cash. You've had it so hard, Chen Mo said, say let me help. I acted touched but sneered inside. She just loved savior, like rich folks doing charity in poor villages. But I never expected Bai Ningbing to be far more twisted than I imagined. One night in a cheap motel after we finished she whispered, will you love me forever? Of course I lied, already planning to dump her for my next target, Liu Fei. Her dad was an education official. Suddenly Ningbing sat up, pulling a knife from her bag. I froze. She flashed a chilling grin. Betray me and I'll kill you then myself. She traced the blade across her wrist, drawing a thin line of blood. Watching it drip onto the sheet I realized I had messed with a psycho. His name was Fang Yuan. Everyone expected them to marry but she wanted true love. True love? Just a rich girl's rebellious game. Still, it explained her extreme obsession. She was projecting her rebellion against her family onto me. Amusing. I backed off but her reaction was violent. She stalked me, went through my phone and even threatened to expose my other girls. Yes, I had 3 others, Li Wen, Zhang Ting and Liu Fei, all fooled into thinking they were unique. She found out but didn't expose me. Instead she demanded I dump them all, otherwise she smiled, I'll upload our sex photos to the school forum. I finally realized I had underestimated this seemingly innocent girl. She was no helpless rabbit, she was a viper in disguise. Before graduation, she downgraded her college choices to match mine. Now we can be together forever, she said sweetly. I told Fang Yuan to wait 4 years. Seeing her sicklily sweet smile made my stomach churn. This wasn't love, it was a disease, but her money was useful during college. It was nice having a sponsor. But college was suffocating. Ningbing clung to me constantly, blocking other girls. Worse, her father suspected us and cut off her LSATs. We fought constantly over money. I called her useless. She wept that I only loved her cash. No kidding, who could love a lunatic? During our sophomore year she got pregnant. I forced her to get an abortion. She agreed, demanding marriage after graduation. I agreed, planning to run away by then anyway. But after the abortion, her mind shattered completely. She started cutting herself and sending me photos of her wounds, saying it was the blood she shed for me. I almost called the police. But then I realized if an extreme girl like her made a scene, my other secret relationships would be exposed. So I pretended to care. I promised to treat her right and it worked like a charm. Bai Ningbing instantly went back to being the sweet, caring girlfriend, even conning her family out of more cash for me. I breathed a sigh of relief and kept juggling my different girls at college. Nobody knew anything about my shady past. I built a brand new web of connections. There was the student council vice president whose uncle was a corporate executive. Then, Wang Mao, a classmate whose family owned a supermarket chain. I kept balancing these girls like walking a tightrope, making each one feel special. But Bai Ningbing was just my most exhausting project. During our sophomore year she got pregnant again. This time she absolutely refused to get an abortion, claiming the doctor warned she could end up permanently sterile. Fine, then have it, I sneered, but you are raising this kid entirely on your own. She cried all night, but the next morning she suddenly went dead quiet and whispered that she would have this baby, and we would live happily ever after as a family of 3. Seeing her creepy smile made my skin crawl. This was not her giving in, it was some kind of terrifying obsession. Once the baby was born, I basically abandoned them. She rented a cheap rundown shack, surviving on secret handouts from her parents. I stayed busy with graduation and job hunting, but honestly I was just trying to escape her. Then, right before graduation, I finally saw my chance. A company in Shenzhen offered me a job with decent pace and free housing. I quietly finalized all the paperwork, planning to vanish the second I got my diploma, but she found out that night. She showed up outside my dorm building, cradling the baby. Her eyes were bloodshot, looking utterly crazed. You are going to abandon us, she whispered. Her soft voice sent chills straight down my spine. I am just going to work, I lied, trying to calm her down. Once I settle, I will bring you both over. She just smiled. She shoved the baby onto a passing student, asking them to hold him, and then she pulled out a knife. Everything after that is a blur. I just remember us wrestling, the sickening wet thud of the blade sinking into my flesh, and her hysterical screaming, you said you loved me, you promised. I collapsed onto the pavement, watching blood pour from my chest. Strangely, there was no pain, just cold and icy, deep cold. Bai Ningbing knelt right beside me, my blood splattered across her face. Suddenly she burst into tears, looking just like a lost child. Please do not die, I love you, she sobbed. Stares up at her distorted face, it hit me we are exactly the same. I was a scammer who traded love for personal gain, and she was a psycho who resorted to violence to keep it. We are both just broken products of this twisted world. Before the darkness completely swallowed me, my final thoughts drifted to my mother. What was she doing right now? She's still trapped in that house, reeking of booze and violence, for a son who would never come home? As my consciousness finally slipped away, sirens wailed in the distance. Underneath those sirens was her manic, echoing laughter. We are together forever now, she whispered. Forever, thank you for watching.